how do you see the health of the game at the moment?
Financially in very good health where I come from. I mean, the BCCI has just had a meeting and I looked at what their reserves are.
Fair bit.
And the mind goes back to 1983. India won the World Cup. And somebody said these players should get a cash reward. Except that the BCCI had no cash. And so one of our greatest ever singers, Lata Mangeshkar, actually did a live concert, didn't charge for it, did a live concert so that the money they earned from the live concert could be given to the players as reward for winning the 1983 World Cup.
Wow.
To now, when people sometimes say, it's a 2-hour flight, I don't want to go on a commercial flight, I'll just hire a jet. Maybe it's not a jet, just a little private plane. So we've come a very long way. So the health in India is very good because our population has become our asset. And when cricket is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, a lot of the sponsorship money gets directed there. So it's not in very good health in N-3 countries. It's in decent health in Australia, it's in decent health in England, it's in very good health in India, and it's in very poor health in all the other countries. And you see that reflected in the fact that they don't want to play test match cricket. And every time I say that, people think I'm anti-test match cricket. I absolutely adore, love test match cricket. But you've got to look at the reality that's knocking you on the door. That there's a lot of countries that cannot afford to play test match cricket because they're dependent on ICC money. They don't have enough money of their own because their cricket economies aren't large. Economies might be okay, but the cricket economy isn't large enough. And so a test match is a loss leader. If you got 100 rupees, okay, 100 rupees in your bank, and the test match is losing you 10 every time you host one, there's only that many test matches you can host. And the saddest thing is what's happening in South Africa, where they're only playing 2 test series now. Because they can't afford to play more. The West Indies can't afford test match cricket. Sri Lanka can't afford test match cricket. So slowly they will start to think, okay, finally I'm running an enterprise. I know it's an enterprise, it's a social enterprise in a sense, but I still need to have head over water. So they'll start having more franchise cricket. What's happening in South Africa is a good example. They desperately need that league to be financially successful so that they have another source of income. I remember when India first started making money and people were very upset that India was flexing its muscles. And I wrote this article that upset a lot of slightly left-leaning people. And I said, everybody in power behaves the same across cultures. Everybody in power behaves the same. Whether it's the US Senate, whether it's India in cricket, whether it's England, who believe they own the game and call their ground the home of cricket. So I find that funny, but that's okay.
Oh, no, we've got common ground on that.
I find that funny. I mean, Jeffrey Boycott said to me on air once, this is the home of cricket. And I said, no, it's one of the homes. I said, Sydney Cricket Ground is a home of cricket. The ground, the Eden Gardens is one of the homes, so whatever. So, see, I keep going away. I forgot what I was saying.
No. I want to ask you about that.
They need that T20 league to work.
Yes.
Because I'd said at that point that countries need to find their alternate sources of revenue and not be dependent on either ICC money or an India tour, because I think India was flexing its muscles with South Africa at that time, saying we won't play now and we'll play some other time and we'll only play so many tests. And they were having to bend to accommodate India because that's where the television money was coming from. And I said, you must have alternate sources of revenue. Because I worked in advertising and I'd seen an agency that I knew go bust because 80% of the revenue came from one client.
Yes.
And when the client moved, the agency died.
Yes.
So a lot of people didn't like it, thinking I was towing the line, but that's true. So anyway, to cut a long story short, I talk too much. To cut a long story short, you have to have these alternate sources of revenue, and that's coming from T20.
Yes. I wanted to ask you about attitudes that you observe from others as India rises as a power in cricket, or has risen. I listened, and I know you mentioned left-right politics before. There was an excellent interview that Gideon Haigh and Pete Lawler did with Ramachandra Guha 2 years ago, just after you guys beat us. And Ram's a historian. He says that there have been 3 superpowers in the history of international cricket. England, the sole superpower from 1877 to 1977 till Kerry Packer. Australia from 77 to around 2000, 2005. And then the advent of the IPL, India to now. In Australia, like you had scenarios where summer was sacrosanct, everybody had to come out here. We destroyed everyone. There was jingoism, bad umpiring, hysterical media.
Great days.
But I wanted to ask you, with Australia's dominance now well and truly over, what are your observations of the way people from England and Australia feel about the ascendancy of Indian cricket?
A younger generation, dare I say your generation, is cool with it. But there's a generation that lives in denial because they've seen the time when England gave a sort of punishment posting. It was called a punishment posting. England actually gave a hardship allowance to their players when they came to India. And I thought, wow.
Yeah.
When we go to England and stay in the bed and breakfast, I don't get a hardship allowance. When I'm lugging my bags 3 floors up with a TV on the wall, and either you or your suitcase in the room, not both together. But that's a separate story. Also, it's coincided with young India being far more confident of itself. My father's generation, look, my father was 20 when the English left India. The English didn't just take away our wealth, they also took away our self-confidence. And so for my father's generation, survival was important. So if he got a job, and he couldn't take a job that was better in the long term, but was paying less at the moment, because as the eldest son getting in, as soon as he started earning money, the family started to see slightly better days. So you got a job and you held on to it for life. My generation saw a little bit of progress because when my mother started to work, we started getting 2 salaries at home, but you didn't have 6 pairs of trousers. You were okay, but you had 2 or 3, and you did okay with those. We saw the huge change, my generation. I started off on a salary from India's #1 business school of 1,900 rupees a month. And even out of IIM Ahmedabad, you had to worry, where can I stay in Mumbai? So in the last 30 years, we've seen the growth. The new generation is coming and saying, so what? And they're a little more brazen, they're a little more aggressive. And so I think the world is starting to come to terms with the fact that this is a different India. So some of them are in denial. Some of them say, we are not deep tea, but that's okay.
So thank you for watching, and do subscribe to this channel.